how he learned Japanese in 3 months. So, we are gonna talk about how you learn Japanese in 3 months. Technically, you've been learning more than 3 months, longer than 3 months, but can you speak Japanese to prove that you kind of speak Japanese?
カタカナ。
やめろ! So, well, talk about like what food you like, I guess. That works.
好きなご飯か。まあ好きなご飯は多分、ラーメンかな。
ラーメン。
和食ね。多分ラーメン。
But so, anyways, he speaks Japanese, right? And I think he can kind of live in Japanese with like how much he speaks Japanese now. Yeah, he speaks Japanese.
Rafts in Japanese.
He's been learning Japanese actually longer than like 2-3 months. But we can ask him like how he learned Japanese too. So you've been learning Japanese for 3 months, but how did you learn Japanese?
Well, there's a bit of steps to it. It's not as simple as, just like from 0 to 3 months and I'm suddenly able to speak at this level. Realistically, I guess you could say that I've been actually learning Japanese for, I guess, over a year and a half now. But I actually started, getting proper education in Japanese about 3 months ago, yes, since I started going to school for learning Japanese, also known as a Japanese language school.
So you said, so you've been learning Japanese for 3 months actually at school.
Right.
But then there's like this hidden time, which was like about a year. So what did you do for a year? So like, why are we not saying like, we didn't learn Japanese for 1 year and 3 months, but why are we saying like you've been learning Japanese for 3 months?
Because in the year and a half-ish that I supposedly hadn't been learning Japanese is actually because I realistically haven't been learning Japanese. I've mostly just been speaking it.
Wait, how?
With a Japanese person, aka you.
So how come basically you started from just speaking right away? You didn't buy textbooks, you didn't buy...
No, technically not. No.
Then like how were you just able to speak Japanese right away from scratch?
By using what little Japanese I actually knew, because I technically have been inputting Japanese for a long time now. If you want to be specific, for about half of my life. Which, by that, here's the answer, watching anime. I've watched anime since I was 16-ish, and just by watching it, I learned words, inputting Japanese. I just didn't know how to speak it, that's the problem, right? You input it, you watch it, you read the subtitles, you learn meanings of certain words, but they're not always accurate, but you get a gist of what the word can mean. So having that foundation, I spoke really broken Japanese in the beginning, but as time went on, I learned from my mistakes. You also corrected me at some points, and by doing both of those things, my level of Japanese speaking increased more and more as time went on. To the point where some people, Japanese people, found my level of Japanese impressive, even though I had never really, used a textbook or used an app to learn Japanese, because most of it came from conversation rather than a textbook.
So basically, he didn't learn Japanese, but he kind of started using Japanese right away. So what people do first is like, when you want to learn Japanese, you try to find a textbook or an app and you just like learn Japanese. And that's basically what learning is usually. That's what you think of like learning is like. In his case, he didn't use a textbook and whatever. He just straight up like just started speaking Japanese. Last year, I think.
Back in
like
February.
Or maybe
literally the beginning of February.
Maybe. So then, of course, like at start, there were so many things he couldn't say, but just because again, he still had to figure out how to speak to like Japanese people in Japanese. He had to force himself to kind of like figure out things. So I don't think he's not afraid of making mistakes because he has to make mistakes or he cannot talk to Japanese people.
That's the thing though. You can't be afraid. If you're learning a language, this is also the case with anything. If you're learning anything, you can't be afraid of making mistakes. Because realistically, even when you become a professional, you'll make mistakes. The only difference is you don't make them as often. And with any trade, with like any job, that's usually the case. You'll still make mistakes. Again, the only difference is how often you make the mistakes. But when you're learning not just Japanese, any language, you have to make mistakes so that you can correct yourself and know how to not make that mistake again. And that's the thing, a lot of people are afraid of making mistakes because they don't want to sound dumb or they don't want to disrespect the language, which I don't know how you can do that. Realistically, the only way I think you can disrespect the language is by calling it stupid or something. But yeah, people need to stop worrying about making mistakes and actually make them so that they can correct them and learn from them.
So he's been learning Japanese for a year and like 3 months, I said, right? So 3 months he's been actually learning Japanese. Like as in learning Japanese.
School.
Using textbooks and like actually learning grammar and words. Because he never learned the grammar, kanji, how to write Japanese. He didn't learn any of that actually for a year. So obviously like, that's learning as well, but that's not the textbook definition of like what learning is like. But for a year, he just straight up like just tries to speak to Japanese people. Or like, I guess, listen to Japanese. Without writing Japanese, without using any textbooks, like no nothing. Then he actually started going to like a Japanese school, started learning grammar for the first time, and kanji, and how to write. Even just hiragana and katakana, he was struggling at first.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that you are like the top right now in class.
Maybe.
Because that's just how language learning should be. What are the worst methods and best methods do you think to learn Japanese?
Worst methods? Textbooks. So, well, that's only the case. Studying from textbooks is only bad if you're doing it by yourself. Because most people tend to find it really hard and also really boring to do it from textbooks. It is possible to do it, but it's really hard. Most people are going to find it really hard. Which I tried. Admittedly, I tried it once before, and it's basically what happened. I bought, the infamous Genki textbook, and I tried learning from it. Nothing. That was a long time ago. This was, I don't know, back when I first started working, which was over a decade ago. But the best way to learn, but it also kind of depends. It is really important to build some sort of foundation with any language, but in this case we'll use Japanese. So it's very important to build a foundation with Japanese. So, in this case, if you want to learn hiragana and katakana, sure, use an app. Why not? Maybe even a textbook. I don't know why you get a textbook because you actually have to buy it, but get an app, learn hiragana, learn katakana, and then I guess you could learn some simple words, sure.
Then what's the best app you could use?
A lot of people really like using memorization, the memorization method, which is also pretty good. It's not bad. That just depends on how well your memory is, but that's you could use like the flashcard ones, like Anki. That's not a bad one. There was one that I used for a bit that was pretty decent, called Denshu. That was one. I was also told about another one, but I can't remember the name for it, unfortunately, so I'm sorry about that.
If you don't know how to say some certain things in Japanese, what do you do?
The best thing to do, I would say, is to, as much as your guys' disdain for I don't know what reason, but using some sort of AI, preferably ChatGPT.
Let's say like you are actually outside, then you have to speak Japanese to like a train conductor and whatever. Then
I mean, at that point, I guess you could just keep it simple and use Google Translate.
And that works too.
The voice one.
Like you don't know some certain word, and what would you do? You still like use just the Google Translate?
At that point, I'll just use ChatGPT.
Okay. So there's like actually like I've been saying this too. A lot of Japanese people understand like English words if they just.
Oh well, yeah. If you're in a real pinch, then yeah, just you could try just using the English word in katakana, I guess.
Because like I think I was like talking about this too. Like so, for example, if you don't know how to say the translate in Japanese, then how do you say it? No. The train got delayed.
For instance, I honestly right now don't really know the word for delay, so, but you could just say delay.
How would you say it in Japanese then?
The train got delayed.
No, in Japanese.
That's what I'm saying, in Japanese.
How do you say it then?
電車がディレイになっちゃった。
Yeah, so the thing is like if you say something like that, there's some possibility that Japanese people understand what that means. For some reason. We do actually, because like if you think about it, we actually have gone through like some English education too. If it's like an actual like sentence in English, suddenly Japanese people don't understand. But you know like how we say even like a world, apple, delay, late. So if you know how to kind of sound Asian, if you can sound Japanese, then that works too.
Yeah, we say it in like katakana English, they'll probably understand.
Then like, how do you say I would like to order this burger?
I mean, if you want to keep it really simple, you could just say konobaga kudasai.
That works too. And then here, the thing is like order. How do you say order in Japanese?
Shumon.
Yeah, that works too. But the thing is like what I wanted to do was like konobaga order shitai. Order.
Oh.
We do say that actually. That's like one of the common words in Japanese too. So you can just suddenly start speaking English, but in the Japanese way. You have to figure out how that works.
English.
Yeah. The best way is to just say like and just try to sound racist, and that works. Like.
I mean, for instance, like if you want to ask somebody where the shoes are, but you don't know the word for shoes, which is kutsu, you could just say like something like shoes ga doko desu.
That works, and that's how we actually speak Japanese too. So you know how people say like they speak English to me, so I can't learn Japanese. But then, why were you able to learn Japanese?
Because I spoke Japanese with them.
You know how people say like, oh, they speak English to me, I can learn Japanese, right?
Oh, like to people that they're talking to?
If I talk to people like they speak to me in English, so I can never learn Japanese.
Just ask them to speak in Japanese.
So the problem here is I don't think you've ever run into these situations, is that they don't actually have Japanese people around them they can talk to. They're talking about like Japanese staff. Like,
okay.
Convenience store like workers and whatever.
That's just because they're trying to make things as easy for you as possible, because for people in customer service, their job is to make you, comfortable, to make you feel comfortable and, to provide the best service as possible so that you can leave, satisfied or happy.
In your case, like, how you have like some Japanese people around us, do they speak English to you?
No.
Yeah, because if you actually hang out with like a Japanese people, then they might want to learn English. That might be the case, but they will still like speak Japanese because that's kind of like the point too. Then how do you make Japanese friends? I don't know. It's up to you. What do you think is the best way?
VR chat.
If you're online, yes, VR chat still I do believe is like the best way. And if you're in Japan, what would you do?
Go out somewhere.
Like where?
That's the thing though. If you go to like a mall, they're gonna think you're like, well, if you're doing it to girls, they're gonna think you're numbing them. If you do it to guys, they think you're gonna scam them. But I mean, you can. It sounds really counterproductive, but it works. But you can go to like Eikaiwa places, like the English speaking places.
The problem is like they will speak English to you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The thing is like there's actually an answer to this because like how did I learn English in Japan? Because I grew up with foreigners. The thing is you can look for people who want to be friends with foreigners, right? And the best way to do it is always the internet now. They don't have to rely on the real life things. Like for example, just search Discord, Kaigai Kodi, basically like a interacting with foreigners, community, whatever servers. There are so many Japanese people that are looking for foreigners for whatever reason. They want to speak English too, but they want to teach you Japanese. Then you can just start things from there. But then if you're in Japan, you somehow try to look for Japanese people in real life. Even when you were in America, like people want to look for Japanese people in real life. But now I feel like you can use Discord and VR chat. I feel like that's like the best way. Recently. And so, speaking, listening, writing, what's the most important skill do you think?
Most out of the three? Obviously speaking.
That's what I think too. Because like some people just straight up learn how to write kanji, but they're not gonna write kanji.
No.
Or is speaking important?
It's, well, obviously to communicate. But realistically, that's the one mistake people make like a lot when it comes to learning Japanese. They immediately dive into kanji. When 9 times out of 10, these people will not need kanji at the beginning of their learning journey. I need it now. I don't really need it, but I'm doing it now just because my school's curriculum calls for it. But even then, I feel like they're kind of like just expecting us to like memorize everything because they kind of gloss over a lot of it. So it's more of just like inputting like crazy, but it's like still really hard to like memorize them. But depending on what you're trying to do, but again, 9 times out of 10, kanji is not going to be very important to learn.
Can you ignore learning kanji?
Yes.
Then when do you need kanji then?
Unless you're actually trying to live here and get a job here at a company that's Japanese, that's the only time you'll need Japanese, or unless you're trying to become an author.
Or maybe taking tests, maybe. Like JLPT.
Or JLPT, yeah.
But even
the JLPT is not a necessary unless you're trying to work here.
Did you know like you don't have to even learn how to write kanji characters?
No, you don't.
In JLPT you don't have to.
No, I'm saying that you don't. No, you don't.
Like, if you can read kanji, that works.
Yeah, you just reading. Writing is becoming more and more obsolete for Japanese. But that's only due to the fact that, now, the only thing you really need it for is paperwork.
So, what do you think about Duolingo then?
It's okay for building a foundation, but if you're on day streak 500 and whatever, then I think you might want to reevaluate your life choices.
So to summarize it, what's the best way to learn Japanese and what should you do now?
Build a foundation.
How?
Using, like, you can, again, building a foundation, you can use apps, sure. I would recommend personally using ChatGPT because you can literally give it prompts by saying, hey, I'm trying to build a foundation for learning Japanese. What are some things that I can what are some things you can teach me that I should learn as a beginner learning Japanese? And then boom, it literally gives you a curriculum.
And then what?
And then you just study that. And then, once you've built your foundation, you want to go out into the wild and actually use your Japanese. Go on VR chat, talk to Japanese people, tell them that you're learning Japanese, speak to them in Japanese, make as many mistakes as you can. Don't be afraid. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's basically Thanos. It's going to happen. So make the mistakes, learn from them. Expand your vocabulary once, if you're trying to say something, try to look up the word and then, put it into your head and then output it with your mouth. So, input, output. They're both equally as important. One is not more important than the other. Kanji is absolutely not necessary if you're just starting out. It'll maybe become necessary later down the line, depending on what you're trying to do, but it is completely skippable. Particles can be ignored also for the most part. If you want to take a shortcut, yeah, you can ignore particles. But if you want to actually, speak proper Japanese, which will only be necessary in formal settings, then yeah, you don't really need particles either.
So then, the thing is, now you're talking about speaking Japanese, but you haven't really spoken Japanese here. And then
yes,
there are new people that are watching this.
Yeah,
they'll be like,
put the money with, because I'm also sick of that too. Those videos are like, how I learned Japanese in an X amount of months or days, but they never speak a lick of fucking Japanese in the video.
So I'd like to actually interview him too.
はい。
じゃあなぜ日本に来たんでしょうか。
高校生の時から日本興味があった。そして、日本語を、勉強したかった。そう。
そ
れだけです。アニメも好きかけど。
アニメは何が好きなんですか？
アニメ、いろいろなアニメ。一番好きなアニメは、天元突破グレンラガン。
天元突破グレンラガンね。
はい。グレンラガンの短いな。
最近は何見てるんですか？
無色転生。
スライムか。
スライムじゃない。なんだっけ。
違うわ、あれだ、ニートでしょ。
ニートのやつ、はい、ニートのやつ。
なんで無色転生見てるんですか？面白いやる。
面白い。そう、めっちゃ面白い。
日本でめんどくさい文化は？日本でめんどくさい文化か。
めんどくさい文化か。
なんかある？
あるかな。
なんかやりたくないこととか別になんかない？大変なこととか。
多分、不付けはちょっと、いや、不付けじゃなくて、ごめん、なんだっけ、Here we go. フォームルの話ね。
フォーマルの話。
フォーマル。
敬語とか？
そう、それ、敬語はちょっとだるいけど、しょうがない。
フォーマルって日本語でもフォーマルって言うんだよね。
日本語で、
フォーマルって言うんですよ。フォーマルな服って言うんですよ。
いや、服じゃなくて話。
そうだけどね。そういう言い方もありますよ。
それだけかも。
敬語めんどくさいなんで？なんでめんどくさいわ。
慣れてないから。
なるほど。ということで、so that's it for the video. And I'm learning Japanese actually for 3 months. But before that, he kind of spoke to Japanese people in Japanese. And if that counts as learning, he's been learning Japanese for 1 year and 3 months.
Almost 6 months.
But then he actually didn't use like a textbook or anything for a year. And then he's now 32. So I guess you can kind of like just learn to speak to Japanese people if you do it the right way.
That is correct.